Hey there, smartphone fans. I know I haven't done any tough phone reviews for a while now, but that's about to change because I found a good one at a low price that, well, is really tough and is worth it. If you're looking for the best rugged device with good specs below $200, I think you'll definitely be interested in the Cubot King Kong 3. The name speaks really for itself. It's a tough phone with a bigger battery, but it also has a few other surprises up its sleeve, like dual cameras on the back and of course, really importantly, NFC inside, stock Android and fast charging, along with dual 4G slots with full netcom support, which means this phone works flawlessly with 4G anywhere around the world. I'm talking about USA, like South America, Africa, Asia, Europe, anywhere you name it. The Cubot King Kong 3's dual 4G slot will not let you down if you want 4G data. But let's delve more deeply into this very lovely, very well crafted device. It's surrounded by plastic and rubber, which is the best combination when it comes to long durability, because those are materials that can survive a knock and not easily break and not easily flooded. There's also a USB Type-C port, something that even the likes of like Xiaomi, Meizu and Huawei don't introduce in below $200 phones, and this one has it on top of everything else. There is a rear sounding speaker, and on the sides there is a monster metal rim that's heavily bolted shut. The buttons are one of the best I've ever seen in like any phone. They don't wobble at all. It's just, this is a exemplary craftsmanship if you want to build a device that will survive a lot of drops, and even if it falls flat on the display, there is a small rubber hinge on the top and bottom that prevents the display from shattering, like if it falls on that display. And Cubot are very serious. This phone comes with a German test lab certificate, meaning it has survived rigorous testing inside a laboratory by professionals, so it really nails all the right boxes. But of course, I'm not going to trust a lab even in Germany, so I decided to do a few tests on my own. Dropped it on a hard surface. Even as it's winter here, I've exploited like throwing it around in the snow, on the grass, like on the pavement. I'm really nothing happening to the phone. It gets wet, it gets really cold. I've left it like on -10 outside for one of the whole night, and we didn't do anything, didn't even froze for that matter. Left it in like running water for like 10-15 minutes, no problem, still working. So this is definitely 100% waterproof and shockproof device. And here is that full netcom part I was telling you about. So these are the bands supported by both 4G slots. So there's even the band 20 here for the European Union, and there's like pretty much every band, almost every band from 1 to 20. So all of you guys here in the US or UK, European Union, major Asian networks, Africa, this phone will work definitely there. As a big battery phone, this is not the thinnest device at all. It's around 13 millimeters thick and weighs 278 grams, so definitely not light and very thin, but that is the general idea, and it definitely isn't overweighted or too thick as I've seen with other devices. This is a 6000 milliamp hour phone, which is IP68 rated. It's shockproof and waterproof, so I think it's actually light and thin for what it actually offers. The 6000 milliamp hour battery inside also does support fast charging, by the way. What this phone also supports is stock Android. Well, if you don't know, Cubot is I think one of the only Chinese manufacturers that is actually Google certified. So this phone security is top notch. Google check all the Cubot's devices. They go through authentication before they go out on stores, and it is running the most stock version of Android 8.1, and I even had an update for it with the November or December security patch. So I think Cubot are committed to delivering a security patch every now and then. And of course, as I said, this does have NFC, and on top of that, it does have a customizable notification LED. Yeah, that's right, something that even some $400-500 devices don't have. So pretty rock solid when it comes to additional bonus specs and features. And there is a side key which you can actually program to like open an app or do a function, which is really handy. I like set it to open YouTube because this is practically the app I watch most, like I use most on the phone, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you always do that as well. But you can program basically any app. So surprisingly very deep customization when it comes to navigation and like software features. I wasn't really expecting that in this device. I expected the software to be actually bare bone, but it isn't, which is really cool if you ask me. Now, Cubot have to make some sacrifices at this price, and the first one is the display quality. It's certainly not a horrible display, but don't expect anything that will blow you away. This is perhaps as quality what I would expect from a $100 phone, not definitely from a $200 one, and it's not very bright. The colors are kind of okay. Just buying this phone, don't really expect to be blown away by the display, because you definitely won't be. The GPS outside is actually pretty reliable, but I did find out that indoors it wasn't really that great, and it took ages to actually lock on a signal. So if you plan using it outside, the GPS is definitely great, but indoors it's not really that good. The Hero P23 actually, I have fond memories from reviewing a lot of P23 devices, and I remember it was a fast chip, as fast as the Snapdragon 625, and it still feels like it. It opens apps quite okay. This is not a super fast phone, it's not a flagship device, but it's definitely not like entry level when it comes to performance, somewhere in like low mid range category. And it doesn't have the best RAM management I've seen. It tended to reload apps a bit too much, even with that 4 GB of RAM, and I don't know if this is a software issue, but it definitely looks like one. As a gaming device, this is not a great gaming device. The Hero P23 isn't a really great gaming chip, but it's just around as good as the Snapdragon 625. So if you've seen how that performs, it's pretty much similar to what the Hero P23 performs. It can push out advanced effects like shading because of the Mali G71 graphics, but there just isn't enough horsepower to run the most demanding games out there in high settings. If you're willing to lower the settings though, the games actually work pretty well. Even the likes of PUBG run on this device. If you're willing to crank that to low settings, it'll run pretty well. On battery life, the 6000 mAh battery delivers around 2 to 3 days of heavy usage, or around 6 to 7 hours of gaming, which doesn't sound that much because it's a bigger battery, but this is what you get actually with this device. So it's definitely not the most efficient one on the market, but it gives you really good battery life, if I might say. Cameras. The Cubot King Kong 3 is not a great camera phone. It's a tough phone, it has a big battery, it has NFC, but the cameras are one of the compromises I mentioned to give you that low price. Still, outside in decent lighting conditions, it can get a detailed shot, especially with HDR enabled, that doesn't look half bad. But you can absolutely forget taking any low light shots whatsoever, because they all appear jerky and the camera just barely can focus. Video quality, it's not bad, it's a bit shaky. It can be worse, but it can be better as well. So it's again usable in good lighting conditions, but definitely not great. So as a camera phone, the Cubot King Kong 3 doesn't impress. But what does impress is giving you a really tough, really well built device that is definitely waterproof, has enough battery, enough horsepower to satisfy the buyer at this low price. I really do think that below $200 there isn't a better rugged device if you're looking for a tough phone that is also quite fast, and you definitely must have NFC and like global 4G support in stock Android. It's not the best gaming device, it's definitely not meant to be one, it doesn't have the best display, and it's not a great camera phone, but I still think it's quite a good bargain at around $180. You can buy the phone from the link in the description below. Give the video a thumbs up if you like it, and subscribe to my channel for more reviews like this.